Boom, baby. We're doing a UFC recap for Woodley versus Covington. We're going to go over the main card. We'll start with the main event. I mean, Colby Covington obviously put on a beautiful performance against Woodley. Kind of seeing the typical Woodley we've been seeing the last like two or three fights. Unfortunately, just not pulling the trigger. Kind of fighting at a slow pace. He's on his back foot the whole fight. It's one of those things that it's hard to see a guy like Woodley, who was a former champ, fight the way he does now. It's hard to get a grasp on what is the issue. Is it a cardio issue? Seems like he might be saving energy, but then towards the end of the rounds, it's not like he's really exploding a lot and trying to actually finish the fight or has any urgency to win the fight. So there's something going on psychologically there, and it's been a consistent thing for Woodley, which is, it's a shame to see. He was, one of the best welterweights ever at one point. And, Colby Covington obviously put on that forward pressure, put on that pace on him, and it paid dividends. I mean, Woodley really wasn't able to deal with it, and when it came to the wrestling, Colby ended up on top with a couple takedowns, and Woodley kind of was just hanging on and trying to kind of survive and just not get finished, basically. But it just didn't look good for him, and I don't know if this is the end of the road for Tyron Woodley, or if he plans on fighting again, or what his plans are for the future. But maybe like Chael Sonnen says, maybe going up to 185 might be something for him that could kind of revive his career and help him kind of erase what has been happening. A lot of guys do that. You see a lot of guys move up, and it kind of starts you a fresh start. 0-0 in that weight class, and you get a big win and everybody forgets what happened the last time. So, that's how MMA is. But man, it's weird. You see Woodley kind of just waiting and waiting and waiting, and he's taking damage too. Colby threw a lot of great kicks that he mixed up low to medium to high, and he was keeping Woodley guessing. He threw some flying knees. His ground and pound was there. It was hard to posture up because Woodley kind of holds your head down in his guard, but he just kind of stays there, and he doesn't really give much of a threat back. So it's like you can just kind of move forward and not really feel much of a threat. I know if Woodley was going to win that fight, he was going to have to land that big right hand. Everybody kind of knew that at this point, but he just never really went for it. I mean, he threw a couple right hands, kind of whiffed and hit air, and then he just looked discouraged. And Covington kind of had an easy time with him, just kind of walking him forward and doing his thing. So, the questions now is, where does Woodley go? Does he retire? I don't want to say he should retire. Nobody wants to tell anybody to retire, but you got to do something. You got to make some changes. There was a lot of talk going into that fight that he was, feeling better in his mind. He was doing the right training. He was, brought in Masvidal, tried to play that mental game and mental warfare, and it just didn't really work for him. So where does he go? I don't know. Maybe he moves up to 185 and fights someone, a little bit lower in the top 15, but maybe towards 15, 14 range, tries to work his way up. I don't know, but Colby, on the other hand, he set himself up for either a rematch with Usman, who's booked to fight Burns, maybe they're going to wait it out. Maybe they're going to have Colby kind of stay on the sidelines and pay him to be a backup fighter, which they've been doing a lot because with these COVID times, a lot of guys are backing out and short notice and this and that. So you never know. They might have Colby do that, or they might offer Colby a Masvidal fight, and that's a big money fight, and that's, that would be great for him as well, and I think he would take that. But they were looking to do Masvidal Nate, so I don't know what's going on with that, if that's still in the works or what's happening with that, but I think you do Colby and Masvidal if you can, and maybe have it so that it's kind of on the same night as the title fight. Like, I don't even know if you could do that, if it's too close or what, but let's take a sip of the Boomacino real quick. Boom. Delicious. A little bit of oat milk. Shout out to Ariel. He loves it. But yeah, we'll see what they do moving on. Maybe they hold him for backup fighter. Then you had Cerrone versus Nico Price, and man, Nico Price was just kind of battering Cerrone early on, and I could see it in his eyes. It was that same Donald Cerrone that starts really slow, that takes time to wake up, and I've been there before, so I can't hate on that. It's part of the game, and it's amazing that it's a guy like Donald Cerrone who lives a life of fearlessness and just taking risks and doing crazy shit. And then there he is. That's the same guy that can't get it together on fight night all the time, and he starts slow in the first round and can't really wake up until he takes a little bit of a beating. But the good thing is he faced that adversity and he overcame it and he got through with Nico Price and at least made it to the end of the bell for the third round and had a pretty good performance after that first round of taking a lot of shots. Cerrone started to mix up his level change as well. He was looking for takedowns, throwing him in there, kind of throwing Nico off. But Nico was definitely moving forward the majority of the fight. He was throwing a lot of front snap kicks to the body. It definitely seemed like he was trying to target Cerrone's body. And then you saw Cerrone, he does this amazing separation head kick where he'll be in a clinch position, and right when the clinch breaks, he throws a snappy high head kick, and it's really hard to see. And he caught Nico Price a couple of times, but he just didn't land it flush enough to really put him away. And I knew with the point taken away, unfortunately, with Nico Price with the eye pokes, that was going to make this fight a little bit more different. And I thought, before it happened, I was like, it could be a draw. And it ended up being a draw because, I thought Cerrone kind of started to take away after maybe he got the third, maybe Nico got the second, but they gave the first like a 9-9 because I guess Cerrone lost that round. I don't really know how they looked at it, but it ended up even and a draw, which is unfortunate. But you know what I was thinking about? Like Donald Cerrone gets paid straight up money. Like he doesn't get paid win and show money. So this guy's like, he's getting paid out either way. Unfortunately for Nico Price, puts on an amazing fight and he ends up with a draw, and he's all happy because he fought a legend and he didn't lose technically, but you lose half your pay, and it's just it's fucked up. I hope they pay him for his performance and not the draw that just so happened to be due to the unfortunate eye pokes in the first round. But those guys wanted to run it back. Donald Cerrone said, you know what, I'm going to take off for the rest of the year. I need to kind of refresh things, and I think that would be a good thing for him, to just kind of give himself a break, take the time off, get his mind right, figure out some things, some changes, and try to figure out that first round. There's a lot of fights that I feel kind of similar, and I start a little bit slow. I wouldn't say like Donald where I don't want to be in there at all during the whole first round, but like I start slow a little bit and I get hit a little and it gets me going. I start picking it up. I get better as the fight goes on. One thing that I thought would be a good thing to try, which I haven't gotten to really yet because my brother wasn't at my fights the last couple fights, but I want to try to do like a 50 to 60% spar, like 5 to 10 minutes before I go out to my fight. Just get touched a little bit, get my vision on point, my focus dialed in, and deal with getting hit with a couple of soft shots before the fight even starts, just so it's like almost round one, and then you go into the fight, So I think that might be a good idea for Cerrone to try to do, like maybe even just grab a training partner, just light spar, drill spar for a round, and do it like really close to the fight, so you are kind of already in round one before it starts. The hard thing is timing, though. I'll warm up for fights, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you got 20 more minutes, and I'm done warming up, and I'm like, do I really want to start warming up again and waste more energy and just so I can break another sweat? Like, it's tough. You got to time it right if you like that momentum of kind of going in with a sweat, or if you like to go in cold. Everyone's different, but Cerrone, I think he needs to kind of get things heated up early. Man, what a KO by Khamzat Chimaev. Man, everyone was thinking, is this guy the real deal? They thought, Gerald Meerschaert was going to be the real test. Or at least somewhat of a test. The guy's a high-level black belt, has a lot of submissions in the middleweight division. And, Khamzat is a guy that's been fighting naturally at welterweight, comes up at 185, and he's known to be a guy who's smashing guys with ground and pound and taking guys down. And he goes in there, and the first punch he throws puts Meerschaert out cold, and it was just unbelievable. You could see his aura, his pressure, his forward movement, that Meerschaert was kind of trying to gauge and see where he was coming from, what he was going to throw at him, if he was going to try to shoot on him early. I think that threw Mearshart off a little bit, and I think that might have been why that punch landed so cleanly. He was kind of worried about that takedown early, and that threw him off. And Hamzat lands it, boom, down, out cold. You gotta feel for Mearshart. Didn't really even get to fight or get started, or even to see where Chimaev really is. You kind of need to see him tested to gauge that. This is the thing about the aura of a guy who just runs through people is eventually they're gonna fight someone that they don't just run through, and that's where we kind of find the real truth about who someone is and how they deal with adversity and stuff like that. And I think that's what people relate to, they want to see. So I'm excited to see if that happens. I don't think Damian Maia is the guy to do that with Chimaev. I think now, seeing that he has that power at 185 to put you out cold, we saw Maia with Burns did it, so Chimaev might be able to do the same thing and land something big early, and you might not even see any grappling in that fight anyway. So, I want to see him tested. I want to see him fight someone that really is able to deal with his skill set and able to dish it back out to him and see where he goes from there. He's an undefeated fighter. Dana White loves him. He's got probably the most momentum anyone's ever had in the UFC right now behind him, maybe besides Conor, but exciting stuff. He's got that cold, stoic personality to him, and he's definitely an interesting character. So excited to see what's next. Johnny Walker, man, against Ryan Spann. He comes back from that brutal knockdown. They both almost had a double knockdown after that. And then he gets the job done, man, and he puts him out. And it was a little bit controversial. I thought he was hitting the back of the head a couple of times before that elbow put out Spann, but, the ref was letting it go. It was a little bit weird. I thought it could have been, something to look at, but unfortunately we don't have replay, or do we? Because we saw Chris Tyone fucking look at the replay and make decisions off of that. But then the commission's like, no, that was right. But then the rule book says there's no replay. Once you look at the replay, you got to stop the fight totally. So I don't know what to think, but we need replay, and we need replay to be able to dictate the truth. If you go to the replay and unfortunately Ryan Spann's out cold, but he's out cold and there was illegal strikes in the process, I hate to say it, but it's a DQ, right? I mean, the fight can't continue. He got knocked out, but he got hurt by strikes to the back of the head that are illegal. So it's like, if there's rules, then what are the rules? Are we following them? Are we justifying illegal strikes that lead to finishes as not illegal? Like, you got to figure this out. Someone's got to do something. So I don't know. I don't like to see fights end like that. But some people said he didn't hit the back of the head. I don't know. I thought I saw a couple shots. But nonetheless, Walker showed that he's improved. Number one, training at SBG. It is kind of hard to gauge in this fight because he did get hurt and could have got finished by, if it was someone who could be a little bit more durable in there. But he did come back from adversity. He was mounted. He was taking shots, and he came back and won. So, you got to give him props there. But we'll see what happens next in Johnny Walker's fight. You got to feel for Ryan Spann. I kind of thought that was a little bit of illegal strikes, and that led to the elbow. Obviously, the elbow was the one that put him out, but Mackenzie Dern, man, I'm really excited that she made the move to train with Jason Perillo. I think that's great for her career. She's obviously ran through girls in the jiu-jitsu realm of things, which happened again in this fight, but I expected her to strike a lot more. I expected Randa Marcos to try to keep the fight on the feet for longer than that. I was surprised to see her just kind of go into guard and risk it all. And, with such a high-level black belt like Dern. And Dern looks in the best shape ever. She had a couple mishaps early on in her career. She gets pregnant. She has the baby. And she's even leaner now than ever. And she's in a better shape. And she's making weight with no problem. It's crazy to see after pregnancy like that. And she looks better than ever. I mean, she didn't really get to display her new striking that much in this fight, but I think working with a guy like Jason Perillo, who's a really solid boxing coach, he's worked with some of the best, Bisping, BJ Penn, other guys, Chito Vera now. This is a great move for her, because if she could just focus on her boxing really, really diligently, she could become someone who's really hard to deal with, where her striking becomes a problem and you don't really even want to take her down, because then you're going to get snatched up by an armbar or a triangle or something like that. So Dern's making improvements. I like seeing it, because earlier on it was questionable, but She gets another submission with a beautiful armbar, and I was saying her leg was caught in the middle of the legs. Her leg was kind of stuck in there. Usually you don't see a finish like that, but the way she manipulated her hips, trapped the arm under the armpit, and kind of adjusted her angle and finished, it was just high-level shit. Kevin Holland beats Darren Stewart. I kind of saw this coming. Kevin Holland by decision, outworking him, kind of utilizing cage control and his reach, and Stewart was kind of looking for that power shot but just couldn't land it. But he's always dangerous. Holland showed a good gas tank. They were both kind of getting dirty in there, having fun talking. Holland just one of those guys that's like really fun to watch, and I think he's gonna make a big name for himself as he moves up the ranks. He's definitely a guy that likes to talk. He likes to joke around, and even in the cage, people like to see that. It's entertainment. So that's a big win for him over Darren Stewart. He's been active during this COVID times, kind of like myself, and I think that's really smart, and I think that's going to pay off. If you can stay active and build momentum right now during these times, all the power to you. On the prelims, I'm not going to go over every fight. Espinoza lost by decision. Bektic, man, what a win for Damon Jackson. He was in the PFL, I believe. He got cut by the UFC a while back. Now he's back in. Bektic is taking him down and mauling him essentially the first couple rounds. And it's kind of typical Bektic fashion where the third round he kind of fades a little bit because he puts on such a high-paced grappling display, and then he can't really keep it up if guys are able to deal with it and they withstand it and they end up in that third round able to put it on him. And, Damon Jackson puts it on him, and he lands that guillotine, right? That boomacine right there, and makes Bektic tap. Beautiful stuff. That was just, that's got to feel amazing for him for being cut by the UFC, being out of there, and being able to come back and get it done against a top 15 guy in Mirsad Bektic. So now he's gonna put himself right in top 15 contention right there. So can't get any worse. Can't get any better than that. Jessica Rose Clark, man. That was a crazy scenario. That was the replay I was talking about earlier with Sarah Alpar. Kind of got kneed with her ass like going down towards the mat, but not touching the mat, so it wasn't illegal. It was a legal strike. But then the ref looks at the replay, realizes he made a mistake, and doesn't want to stop the fight officially, so he comes back and restarts it in the position they were in, and this girl's just taking a beating, extra shots that just didn't need to be, and she took another knee to the face, and I think her nose was shattered or something. I just felt for the girl. I was like, come on, man, she's taking a lot of damage. But Jessica Rose Clark looked really good. I believe, the experience paid off in this fight. She had a lot more UFC experience, and it showed. Her striking is improved, and she really put it on Alpar. Derek Minner, shout out to him with another boomacine finish. I love seeing the guillotines. That's all right up my alley. And I knew Derek Minner was a headhunter. And Laramie has a lot of hype behind him. I hear good things about him. But in this fight, it kind of seemed like he started slow. And Minner jumped on his neck and took advantage of that. That was beautiful stuff. Beautiful knockout by Randy Costa. Set up that same side head kick. He's definitely happy with that, with the bonus. And Andre Ewell put on a good striking clinic against Erwin Rivera, who's a really tough guy. He mixes it up well. I think Andre Ewell showed improvements. His cardio's a little bit better. He tended to fade in those past fights. It looked a little bit sharper in this one in the third round, so hats off to him as well. So that's it. That was the Covington Woodley recap. Nice and quick, smooth, sharp, focused. We'll get Fight Islands coming up, so we're going to get a boom breakdown going for, of course, UFC 253, right? Is that Adesanya versus Costa? Can't wait for that. That card's looking good. I think they're there for a month, right? Then they come back to Vegas. I'm looking to get back in there November 7th, back in Vegas, the first card back. I think Simon Says, boom, baby.